Hey everybody, welcome to another video. This week I thought we would talk travel. I know it's a pretty popular time of the year for people to start taking trips, so I figured I would show you a few different travel art kits that you can kind of put together that will allow you to still be creative no matter where you go. I'm gonna show you a few different setups, starting with like very bare bones, super minimal, to kind of a little bit more involved where you can have a few more supplies with you, but I am gonna try to keep all of them fairly simple because I know that usually when people travel, they bring a lot of other things with them and space is kind of a limiting factor. So let's start with just a bare bones, simple kit, just a sketchbook and a pen. That's it. That's about as minimal as you can get, and yet you can still accomplish a lot creatively. I know when I first started my creative journey, this was all I used, and in some instances, going this simple can be beneficial. I mean, you're forced to be more creative. You don't have, different size pens that you can use for different line widths. You just have to practice with pen pressure and things like that. So this can be a very beneficial way to not only get better in your sketching and drawing, but it can also just force you to be a bit more creative with what you have. And again, like I said, this is pretty bare bones. This virtually takes up no space, especially if you get a pocket sketchbook. You can literally just carry this in your pocket. You don't even need to put it in a bag. So this is probably as bare bones as it's gonna get. Now, if you're someone who wants to take a bit more with you, then I would highly recommend looking at something like this. This is a Kipling, just a Kipling pencil case. It's divided into these 3 sections. And as you can see, I have, fine liners and a few white pens in this pocket, and in here I have kind of like bigger items like sharpeners for pencils, a kneaded eraser, a ruler, so kind of like bigger things in here. And then in here I have a few more pencils and some Derwent Inktense pencils, which is going to bring me to my next point. Because again, when traveling, space is a limiting factor. So you want to kind of bring materials with you that can pull double duty. So what's great about these Derwent Inktense pencils is if you're someone who watercolors like I do, you can use these color pencils not only as color pencils, but if you get them wet with like a water brush, then you can also use them as watercolors. So that's going to save you space because now you no longer have to bring color pencils and watercolor with you. You can just bring one thing. So I would definitely look into something like that. If you don't like the idea of using color pencils, or maybe you just don't like using color pencils, then you can make your own little watercolor palette like I have here. This is just an old tin that had like mints in it that I just changed. I made into a little watercolor palette. I'll actually have a video linked up here somewhere that shows you how I did it. But this is a lot smaller than your traditional watercolor palette, so this will definitely take up a lot less space. And you can actually, if you get a bag like this, you can actually just put it in that little pouch, and all of your art supplies are right here. And then you can just take this pouch and you can put it in like a backpack that you bring with you, or or like a satchel, or whatever the case may be. And again, this doesn't take up much space at all. So if you're someone who's looking for a few more supplies to bring with you, I would definitely look into kind of a kit in a bag like this. And I'll link to everything down below, so hopefully you'll be able to find everything. Now, my last setup is probably going to be the most involved, and it's going to be something similar to the previous setup, but just in a bigger bag. So this is actually a tactical bag that I found on Amazon, and as you can see, when you open it up, it's actually got a lot of pen loops in it, so you can bring way more pens and pencils with you. And the great thing about this bag is not only does it have all these pen loops in it, but it has this pouch in the back as well. So you can take a bigger sketchbook. You don't have to get just a pocket sketchbook. You can get an A5 sketchbook, and that'll fit right in the back. And you can have everything in one bag. And again, this will fit into maybe a bigger bag. You can probably still get it into like a regular size. You could definitely still get it into a regular size backpack, but it will take up a bit more space. You can see it's a little bit thicker, but this does give you the convenience of, like I said, having everything just in one place. Again, you can even take your watercolor palette, and there's also a zipper pouch on this side that'll allow you to fit some things in there, including, you know, besides the watercolor palette, you can fit like your kneaded eraser, you can fit a ruler in there if you need. And so this is basically the previous bag. It's basically this setup, but just a lot bigger. So it affords you more space, more pen loops. You can just take a bit more with you. Oh, I will advise, since you can see the fountain pens, if you're going to travel with fountain pens, especially if you're flying with them, be sure to empty them out so they don't have any ink in them, because I know a lot of times if you're flying with fountain pens and there's ink in them, because of the pressure change on the plane and stuff, they could potentially explode and you'll get ink everywhere. So just PSA, be sure to empty out your fountain pens before you fly with them. So yeah, so as you can see here, I've got, you know, a bunch of different fountain pens here. I've got my sailor pen with the Fude nib, I've got a parallel pen, I've got a fine liner, I've got a brush pen, I've got several pencils. So this setup is for someone who's looking to bring as many of their art supplies as they can, but still keep it in a fairly compact space. Or you can also use this setup if you're going somewhere for several days, and you want to make sure that, for example, you don't run out of ink, so you can take a few pens with you. If you're someone who wants to bring, as I mentioned, you want to bring the Inktense pencils, where you can use these as color pencils and as watercolor. Again, these will slide right in there, so you can take that whole case with you, and again, you'll still have the ability to have everything fit in this one bag. But as you can see, the more you put in, the thicker it gets, so do be mindful of that. And that's pretty much it. I think these are probably the different art kit setups that I'd recommend for traveling. Again, you don't want to bring everything with you if space is a limiting factor. You also don't want to bring so much with you that you're kind of stuck deciding like what you want to draw with or paint with on any particular day. You know, like, should I use a fountain pen? Should I use a fine liner? Should I use a pencil? Should I use this, that, or the other thing? So you do want to keep it relatively simple in terms of decision making as well. But any of these solutions, I think, depending on what kind of traveling you're doing, should work. Again, anything from just bare bones, just pocket sketchbook and a pen, all the way up to, you know, several pens, several pencils, a bigger sketchbook in the pouch in the back, and then also, you know, having your watercolor palette back here and some other things. So I hope this was helpful. Let me know if you're going to try any of these on your travels. Let me know where you're traveling to too. I'd be excited to know. So leave a comment down below. Let me know what you thought. Be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everybody.